What's up, everybody? Welcome once again here to Renegades Reviews, right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for rejoining me on my journey here to bring you the best movie reviews that I possibly can. As I said yesterday, it's been a long time coming, long overdue, and I am just happy to be back. Grateful that you guys are tuning in and watching these, even though that I'm filming them so far in advance. As I stated yesterday, I'm trying to can a bunch of these while I can here in the age of Corona, just in case something happens at my work and things get really, really intense, just in case things start going down in my personal life, just in case things start really going down in real life, in the world outside my window here. I want to try and get as much stuff canned. That way you never miss out on an episode or a chance to hear me talk about one of these movies, whether it's a classic like the one I'm going to talk about today, or a brand new release. Once my movie theaters open up here in sunny Southern California and I can start going back to the theaters and seeing new releases on opening weekends again. Obviously, once I can, I will start incorporating those into the rotation. And until then, I've got my own extensive movie library that I'm going to be pulling selections from. There's Netflix, there's Vudu, there's Disney Plus, there's Tubi, there's Crackle. There's a ton of stuff at my fingertips, just a button click away on my remote control. So without further ado, let's jump into the review for today. Like I said in the introduction, today I'm going to be talking about the 1986 Tom Hanks film, The Money Pit, starring Tom as Walter Fielding Jr. and Shelley Long as his girlfriend, Anna Crawley. Now, don't be fooled. Just because those are the only names that I'm listing off does not mean that there aren't other great actors or actresses in this film. It's just that most of them only have a really bit part, so I don't feel like I should draw too much attention to them. Joe Mantegna, for example, he plays a carpenter who Tom Hanks and Shelley Long contract to help work on their house. Also, Yakov Smirnoff plays a minor role. He was big in the 80s, the mid-80s there. He plays a minor role in the film. But alas, let's get into the meat and potatoes here. Our film begins in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, where we see Tom Hanks' father, Walter Sr., getting married to a younger Brazilian chick. Unfortunately, though, Walter Jr., Tom Hanks, is not at the wedding as he's back home. He's a lawyer. He's trying to deal with all these personal problems and legal problems that his father has caused him. He's got all this stuff he's trying to sort out for him. A group of men barge into Anna's apartment. The leader of the group of men is Yakov Smirnoff, who I mentioned a moment ago. They're trying to regain control of the apartment for their boss, who is the conductor of an orchestra that Anna plays in, and also Anna's ex-husband. They throw her and Walter out of the apartment, and so now they've got to find a place to live. Like, they've had almost no notice. So now they're scrambling, trying to find a place to live. Walter gets on the phone, calls his buddy Jack, who's in the real estate business. And Jack's an overweight gentleman who's been slowly losing weight. There's even a couple jokes made about how he's had 7 heart attacks in a month. But when the first one came, they couldn't even fit him into the ambulance, and now he fits in the ambulance with no problem. Not exactly the type of joke that I would be making, but this was also the mid-'80s, and that stuff wasn't as looked down upon as those jokes may be today. But Jack ends up finding this place for Walter. It's $1 million home. They only want $200,000 for it. Obviously, the old adage, if it's too good to be true, probably is. Definitely holds true for this movie, and you'll know why in a minute here as I go deeper. Anna and Walter go out to the house. They take a tour of it. They meet the lady that's selling the house, and she's giving them the whole sad story about how she needs to move this house quickly, and that's why it's so low. So after a little talking about it, Walter and Anna decide that they're going to go ahead, they're going to buy the house. I mean, they don't have a whole lot of choice. They need something, and you're not going to find a much better deal. So Anna decides that she's going to put $100,000 towards the house. Walter's got to come up with the other $100,000. So he goes to a musician that he's legal advice for, gets the money from him as a loan. The kid, spoiled little brat that he is, originally doesn't want to give it to him. But being a kid, all Walter has to say to him is that if you don't do this, I won't like you anymore. And the kid just starts to shake and quivers like, okay, I want you to like me, so I'll give you the money. Gets the money. So now they've got $300,000 for this $200,000 house. They buy the house, and as they start to move in, they start to realize why everything was so cheap in the first place. You've heard of buying a car and the car being a lemon. Well, if real estate had lemons, this house would be the lemon tree. There is so much wrong with this house. As Walter is trying to walk up the staircase collapses underneath him. There's sewage in the water, holes in the ceiling, electrical fires breaking out when you flip the light switch. We've got the bathtub falling through the ceiling when they fill it up with water out of buckets from the water fountain outside their house. They're just filling it up so they can try to get a little clean, and the weight causes the tub to break through the ceiling. Then at one point, Walter even gets stuck in the floor all the way up to his chest, which makes him unable to meet the permit man so that he can get the paperwork required so that the construction teams can come in and start repairing the house. And it causes him to not be able to pick Anna up at the train station after work one day. I mentioned Joe Mantegna, who plays a carpenter. He's one of the people that we see as they're trying to get estimates and everything. He refers him to his brother, who does plumbing and construction. So that's how his bit part gets brought through here. As the construction is going on over the house, every time they look to the foreman says it'll be done in 2 weeks. 2 weeks, 2 weeks. 4 months later, 2 weeks. One night, Anna's in the city. She's doing rehearsal with her orchestra. She's trying to get a little bit more money from her ex-husband by selling a painting that he wanted in the divorce to him, because they're running low on funds to pay the workers and everything at the house. She ends up staying the night at his house. When she wakes up in the morning, he's in the bed next to her. He spins these tales of all the hot, passionate sex they had the night before, and the food, and the crepe Suzette desserts, and the wine, and the singing, and the sex everywhere. And Anna is distraught. She doesn't know what she's done. So she decides that the best thing that she can do is lie to Walter. And as we all know, lying to your significant other is not the way to go, folks. Just trust us here. So when Walter sees Anna the next day, he's asking, where were you? Oh, well, I spent the night at his house because it was too late. Did you sleep with him? No, I didn't. It's okay for you to tell me. I'll understand. I just want there to be honesty. I don't want you to lie to me. I'd rather you be truthful than to hide it from me. No, I didn't do it. And they end up falling asleep. Once everyone is asleep, Anna's conscience sets in, and she's like, okay, I can't do this. I gotta tell him. And she wakes Walter up, tells him the truth. Oh, you okay? You're not mad? No, I'm not mad. You sure? Yeah, let's just go back to sleep. We can talk about this in the morning. Lights go back off. They come back on. Walter is standing up and he starts screaming at her, calling her all kinds of dirty names. He's upset, and justifiably so. His girlfriend cheated on him. So they fight back and forth, huge verbal argument in front of the workers and construction people trying to fix their house. Everyone is stopping. They're trying to watch the fight go down because it's far more entertaining than the repairs they're supposed to be doing. They end up breaking up, as I'm sure you could imagine. They decide that they're going to wait it out the 2 weeks that it takes for them to finish the house. They're going to hold their relationship together and wait it out. And then once the house is done being fixed, they'll sell the house, make a profit, recuperate some of the money, split it 50-50 since they both each put $100,000 in, and they'll be done with each other. As it gets closer and closer and closer to completion of the construction, Anna's ex-husband tells her the truth. He tells her that there was no sex, there was no debauchery, there were no shenanigans. It was all very clean, very simple. He slept in the couch on one room, she slept in the bed. Nothing happened. Now she's once again distraught because she loved Walter. And now she's hurt him, and she doesn't know if there's any way to repair it. She goes back to him, tells him the truth, tells him that there was no cheating, and they decide to make up, get married, and basically live together in this dream house now that they have purchased, because now the house is everything they ever wanted. All the problems, all the chaos, all the drama that surrounded this house has now birthed this happy thing. They get married. Presumably they live happily ever after. And then just before the credits roll, we go back to Rio de Janeiro. And we see Walter Sr. And he's talking to a man who's trying to sell a house. And the camera pans over, And his wife is the same lady that sold Walter Jr. the other house. So we learned that these two are just con artists trying to hustle for some quick cash, and they've now just played Walter Sr. the same way they played Walter Jr. Fade to black, the credits roll, and that's the movie. I personally am going to give this movie 3 stars out of 5, and I'm going to tell you why. First of all, and the main reason I don't rate it 3.5 like I did Splash is I just feel it doesn't have the same charm that Splash has. There's just something about the innocence and the charm of Splash that knocked it up that little bit for me. Performances were top-notch. I really liked Tom Hanks in this one. This was probably the most physical comedy I've ever seen him do in a film. I mean, if you like the type of physical comedy that guys like Chris Farley or the Three Stooges would do in their bits, you're going to enjoy this movie because there's so many bumps and falls and crashes, and he falls through the ceiling not once but twice. He has stuff fall on him. He goes on this huge fall ride, almost like an amusement park ride, going back and forth on the stacks outside the house, that they set up for the construction guys, just knocking those all down to the point where he lands into a wheelbarrow, rolls right into the fountain outside their house. Just so many hilarious bumps and falls, and you just sit there and you're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Because as we all know, if this happened to anybody not in the movie, they'd probably be dead with all that stuff. God bless professional stunt teams and those people that can do this stuff professionally. Maybe get a few scratches on them, a broken bone every now and again, but they survive. That's the main reason. I was never huge on Shelley Long. I want to say Cheers started around 83, 84, 85. Stat Boy, if you're watching this, look it up and leave the answer for me because that's your thing. You're the stat man. I want to say Cheers started right around that time, though. So Shelley Long was like riding the success of Cheers at the time this came out. Bosom Buddies. I'm not sure if it had ended yet. But, so you had Tom Hanks from Bosom Buddies. You had Shelley Long from Cheers meeting in this great comedy movie. But it just lacks some of the charm. So, yeah, 3 stars for me out of 5. What do you guys think? Where does The Money Pit rank amongst your favorite Tom Hanks performances? Let me know. Leave your thoughts in the comment box. I'll get back to you as I always do. You guys know I'm very interactive. I always try to respond to your comments in a professional way. Let's also try to get hashtag Casa D18 Studios, hashtag Renegades Reviews, hashtag Renegade Returns. Let's try to get those all trending at some point. That would be awesome to be able to log in and see any one of those trending at some point. We interrupt this episode of Renegades Reviews for an important announcement about
merchandising.
Merchandising? What's that?
Merchandising. Come, I'll show you. Merchandising, merchandising, where the real money's made.
Make sure you go over to teespring.com/stores/Jeff Meacham Network for all the t-shirts you see here from the West Coast professor, Jeff Meacham himself. You can get shirts for the Jeff Meacham Network, Talk Wrestling, as well as the red and gold Meachamania shirts. And while you're there, don't forget to get your shirts of the Casa D18 Studios Brotherhood, the Dads on Wrestling shirt, the Renegade JJ Williams, Statboy Sports Bar, and the hashtag StatBoyApproved shirt. Make sure you go over to teespring.com/stores/Jeff Meacham Network and score your shirts today. What movies would you guys like me to review in the future? Like I told you yesterday, I've pretty much got the entire year booked because I'm trying to can as much as I can while we're, in COVID. In the age of COVID, I'm trying to get as much accomplished as I can while I have the free time. But shoot me some suggestions, especially if by the time this goes live, if movie theaters are back open, especially here in Southern California, drop some movies that you want me to talk about that are brand new releases. I'm probably going to make one day a week a double feature day where you'll get whatever the featured movie is for the theme of the month and then a new release once they start showing again out here. So there will be one day a week, probably a weekend day. I haven't decided if it'll be Friday, Saturday, or Sunday yet. But one of those 3 days, you'll get a double feature from me. So until next time, right here on Renegades Reviews, only on the Casa D18 Studios channel. I am the Renegade, JJ Williams. Thank you for watching, and I will be back here tomorrow, same time, with another classic Tom Hanks film to review. See you then.